Hey, what's going on? This is Griffin Gaming here, and today we are doing a continuation of my series on Star Citizen 101. Kind of doing this series because I've noticed that a lot of people have a lot of questions about Star Citizen. There's a lot of misconceptions about it, a lot of bad information about it, a lot of good information, and just a lot of information about Star Citizen. So hopefully these little video tours will be opportunities for me to share with you what I know. Believe me, I am not the greatest person on knowledge on Star Citizen. I've been into it since 2014, but there are people who've been in it since 2013, 2012 who know way more. But hopefully I'll be able to share what little bit of information I can, and hopefully it'll be correct information, not some bad stuff. So anyway, today we're taking a tour of the Starfarer. The ship just got released to the public over the weekend, and there's been a lot of excitement about it, a lot of buzz, a lot of raving, a lot of ranting, good and bad. But I want to kind of do my own little tour of it because I've watched a lot of videos both on YouTube and Twitch, and some of the information I've heard has been on point and excellent. Some of it I've heard has been conjecture, some of it has been just plain wrong, and so hopefully I'll be able to kind of give my insight to it, and from hopefully things I've learned from watching other videos as well. One of the first things that most videos do is they start out at the Starfarer, and they start out showing the size of the ship, the proportion of the ship, and talking about how big it is. But unless you've played Star Citizen, it's hard to understand what that perspective is. So what I want to do is basically give you an idea of the true immense size of this ship. It is really incredible, particularly just the feat of programming just kind of blows your mind. It's staggering. But anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to jump in the Gray Cat, and we're going to take a little ride. And let's see, will my Gray Cat act up? Nope, it's not going to act up. It's not acting up today. Okay, well, we're going to leave the Gray Cat behind. And what we'll do is we're going to check out some ships. The ship in front of me is an Aurora LX. It is considered the luxury edition of the Aurora series. It is a standard ship. It is basically the same size as a starter ship that you would get in this game. And just to give you an idea of size and perspective, I'm going to go into a third-person mode here. And that gives you an idea, just basically seeing the size of my avatar there, of the size of the ship. And again, this is a standard size ship. Definitely on the smaller class out of all the other ships that are in the game. On this side, change my position here, is a Freelancer. This is a medium, I would almost want to say this is a small to medium, to be honest with you, cargo ship. And again, give you some perspective of size with my avatar there. But you can see that this is a pretty decent sized ship. We're going to go around it one time here just to give you an idea. We won't go around the whole ship, but just to give you an idea of the size of it. You can see this is pretty big. Pretty large size. And let's open up the cargo area just to give you an idea. Okay, this is the cargo bay. Gives you an idea, a lot of room in here, a lot of space. Pretty nice size for a ship. Close that up. That is made by MISC, which is the same company that makes the Starfarer. In fact, if you look at the design of this, and when you see the Starfarer, you're going to see that there are some similarities in the design. One of the things that CIG wants to do is, depending on the manufacturer of the ship, when you look at other ships in their line, you should see similarities. Maybe it'll be the design, the line, the type of equipment they use. But the idea is that there will be continuity between the different manufacturers of ships. So if you get in the cockpit of a Freelancer, and then you get into the cockpit of the Starfarer, you'll see great similarities, almost as if you're saying, hey, I can fly this ship, it's just like the other ship. So that's one of the reasons why they're doing that. So anyway, this is the Freelancer. And again, I mentioned to you, this is like a small to mid size cargo ship, but I really want to call it a small, to be honest with you. I almost want to say, when we think about how clothing is measured, how you have small, medium, and large, well, you could probably call that a small. This would be an extra small, because on the back of this you can attach a cargo container underneath the bottom. Now the ship in the next hangar bay, it's not a cargo ship, but you can see it is a much larger ship in comparison to both the Freelancer and the Aurora. This is a stealth bomber called a Retaliator. And again, you can see this is a pretty large ship. A lot of size to it. Let me see if I can get a whole angle here. Whoops. There. It kind of gives you a better view of it there. And if we go again into third-person perspective and we stand next to one of the landing struts, you can see this thing is pretty big. And this is made by Aegis, which is the company that produces this. And you can see definitely there's a completely different design on this ship versus what we saw with the Aurora and the Freelancer. Again, here's some proportion size. Very large ship. This is the entrance hatch to get inside. And stand next to one of these engines. These are the VTOL engines, vertical takeoff and landing. And you can see this is really a large ship. Go back to first person. And again, another view here. If I go back and try and get it all in perspective, you can see this is a large ship. Now this would be considered, wow, if I said that the Aurora was an extra small and I said that the Freelancer was a small, this would maybe be a medium? Probably a medium. Yeah, medium size ship. So again, just to give you perspective on the size of these ships, we saw an Aurora, which is way back there, and then a Freelancer that's way behind it, and then of course in the foreground here we have the Retaliator. But now we're going to give you an idea of the size of the Starfarer. So this hangar here has absolutely nothing in it, but you can see this is a large hangar. In front of us is a Retaliator. I'm sorry, not the Retaliator, the Starfarer. And you can see the difference in size. Okay, we're just entering the hangar and you can see this almost fills the screen. Very large ship. Again, made by MISC. And again, to give you some perspective on the size of this ship, we'll go into third person and we'll walk up to it. Wow. Now that is incredible. Huge in size, huge in perspective here. So what we will do is take a quick walk around, go back to first person perspective. They actually had to make a hangar large enough to hold the ship. Originally we were told that the Starfarer would be one of the largest ships that could be in hangar. And so I've heard rumors that possibly there may be another ship that may follow behind this that may fit in that's large. But originally we were told that this was probably the largest ship that would be in hangar. So let's go around here. By the way, if you stopped by the stream, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you spending some time with me on this Easter holiday Sunday. There's another angle of the ship. You can see this has very large guns. I think these are Type 4 guns that are on the ship, if I'm not mistaken. In the front of the ship, where you see this grill, that is the intake. The Starfarer is designed to be a fueler and a refinery, where it can go into hydrogen gas, whether it be a hydrogen cloud. I'm not sure about hydrogen planets, but definitely hydrogen cloud. Take that hydrogen and convert it into fuel, and that would be the intake area for it. In the video that was put out by CIG, that was like the ship shape video, that particular grill wasn't in place at the time, but it is there now. Again, going around the ship, you can see again similarity in design of this and the Freelancer, the type of metal used, the design of the head. You can see some definite similarities there. Let's go around. Now, the tanks that you see here, this is one of the areas where I've heard people make mistakes and not really noticing that even though there are 8 tanks, 4 on each side, The front two tanks are designed differently. You can see they actually have a ribbing to them. And the code on them is RT2, and on the other side RT1. These are the refineries. These are the tanks that actually will process the hydrogen that comes from that front grill that I just showed you. It would process into the refinery, and then from there it goes into these rear tanks. So there are really only 6 tanks that will be holding the actual fuel. These are the refinery tanks. Okay. It'll also be interesting if you notice there's a lot of detail in here as to how these tanks operate. There seem to be latches on them. There are computerized gauges when we get up on the catwalk that basically give information about these tanks. And there's been a lot of curiosity about whether or not these tanks can be, when fuel is being deployed from them, whether or not fuel can be actually dumped. Notice that there seems to be what is here some type of nozzles, whether these are intakes or outtake valves, whether or not fuel can be jettisoned from them, whether the tanks themselves can be jettisoned. If you notice, they are on racks, and we have seen photos of the Starfarer without the tanks on them. Whether they can be dropped in an emergency, who knows? We don't really know what all the details are on them. At least I haven't seen enough information to tell me what those details are, but we do know that these tanks can be removed in some way or other. Right below this pylon in the back is a gunner's nest, and these are gunner's nests that are similar to those on the Retaliator that will, when you go into them, you're inverted 180 degrees, so you're literally upside down inside of these guns. These are Type 2 guns, if I'm not mistaken, on both sides. One there, one port, one starboard. So you've got an idea of the size of this ship from the outside. What we're going to do is start making our way inside. So we'll go up here, and there is a catwalk above us, which we will visit in a few minutes. But the fueling arm will be in this area as well. It will extend out in some way so that when ships need to be refueled, I'm sure it'll be telescopic in some form where it comes down and then extends itself out. Possibly ships will come into an area about here or below the ship and be refueled. There's been a lot of question about the capability of this ship in the sense of what type of ships can it refuel. Will it be able to refuel something as large as an Idris, or whether it will just be fighter ships, or whether it will be ships that are in between. We don't know what the fuel capacities are on these completely. I don't know in relation to other ships whether this will, for example, be the equivalent of being able to fill 16 Hornets, or whether it will be able to fill 6 Andromedas, whatever the case may be. We'll find those details out later. So this is the cargo door that leads into the ship, and there is another way to get into, which I'll show you a little bit later. But this is the panel that accesses it. When we open it, you see a pretty elaborate opening system here with handrails. Very cool. And there we go. This is large enough that you can actually drive a Great Cat buggy in here with no problem, possibly even a small ship, but it's mostly meant for cargo. There's been a lot of conjecture about whether or not people will be able to use this to put ships in it and do sneak attacks. I don't think it's going to serve that purpose. I think that the real purpose of this is definitely for cargo. The ship, surprisingly, well, let me say this, let me close the door first. It gives you a shot of the rear there, looking out the back. This panel here on the right, we get that, and there we go. They've added some very nice audio effects to that. Definitely know when the door is closing. Okay, this is the cargo area again. There is a upper area that surrounds this. There's one door that exits on the starboard side, and then there's another door that goes forward. You'll also note areas for cargo strapping over there. Same thing on this side. And jump seats. 6 on each side. 6 there. And 6 on this side here. Now, I mentioned earlier that there was another alternative way to enter the ship. And evidently when we're landed on planets, that door that we entered in through would be the door that we would use. But when we're in space, there is a docking collar, which is located here. It does operate, and this docking collar will be used as a way to enter and exit the ship as well. Also, this room seems to be a pressurized room because of the type of door that's used here. And there are EVA suits here that would go on both of these doors here. Also, we see a lot of these panels here that seem to be panels that monitor the various tanks that are on the ship. Not really sure what these areas are here. Haven't heard anything in particular about them, what these two areas are. But again, this is a docking collar. Okay. Alright, so we exit this room. More cargo straps on the sides. And now we will make our way up to the second level here. There's only one door that leads that way, so we're going to go through. Again, if you have any questions about the Starfarer, or if you've got one and you know some information I don't know, hey, feel free to toss it at me. I would love to know more about the ship. So we're on the second level here. Let's see, where does this go? Do I want to go this way? This gets a little bit complicated if I go that way. Let's go this way first. Okay, so this is the upper deck that we saw over the cargo area, and it does make a full 360 degrees from the top. Now, some people have felt that this was a waste of space. They said, well, why do they have this space up here? They could have been using this for cargo. But I think that this is actually more of a strategic piece in regard to the FPS side of the game. Let's say someone boarded your ship. This ship actually hosts a crew of 7, if I'm not mistaken, and 7 or 8. And your crew would want to have some vantage points, some firing vantage points. If someone is trying to board the ship through that cargo door, this is an excellent space to be in, basically to defend your ship. As you can see, best angle in the world. Real hard to get through that door without getting nailed if you've got 3 or 4 guys up here ready to defend the ship. Whoops, we don't want to touch that ladder yet. Alright, that was that ladder there, guys, sorry. Okay, so let's continue. We're going to go through the door here into this area here. Here seems to be an area for the cargo master. There's a panel here that evidently, from what I understand, will allow the cargo master to do inventory of the cargo that's down in the cargo floor. And we don't know exactly what that's going to entail, whether it's this is where you released some type of magnetic straps to keep things steady, or whether it's just for inventory sake. But this panel is here to be used, and again, as I said in my previous videos, CIG, usually if they put something in that has that much detail, it's usually there for a reason, and definitely going to probably be used in the game in some form. So there's also a lot of signage here to let you know that this is an escape pod area, ESC-01. There's signs there, and there are also a lot of signs on the ground as well to give us hints about things in the game, so we have to pay attention to those too as we go through the game. Let's see what that says there. It's like a little MISC detailing, and this says ventilation release. That's interesting. So evidently this will be something we put into use. Maybe if the ship is damaged, who knows, we'll see. Okay, so let's go through this door where escape 1 is. And we reach this area. This is where there are escape pods, 6 of them in this room. 1, 3, 5, and 2, 4, and 6. Some folks have said these are coffins. Well, let's hope they're not coffins, because obviously if we use this, we want to be able to get away. We don't want to die in these little boxes. But right now you can't actually get inside of them. It says this is a survival kit. And evidently there'll be some type of timer or something you get inside. This will close. You can see there's a heavy door there, along with the door for the casing. There's the door for the casing. There's the heavy door in between. These actually get ejected out of the top of the ship. From the outside, if we have an overhead view, when I go up front, I'll try to show you the location for where those escape pods actually eject out of the ship. So that's what this area is here. Now, again, the Starfarer is a really big ship, and if you had to get down here in case of an emergency, you'd be in a lot of trouble because it would take some time to get down to this part of the ship. There are other areas of the ship that have escape pods, so there are other options. I know I own a Retaliator, as you saw earlier, and I had concerns about the people who are in turrets in the back of the ship. They have a pretty good haul to get down from the turrets, run through the corridors, climb ladders, and then get to their escape pods before a ship possibly is destroyed. It'll be interesting to see how well that mechanic works out. I'm looking forward to it, actually, because I think the survivability and wanting to survive is important in this game. I don't want to just play a game where we get shot a few times, we blow up, and then we just automatically respawn. I really want to be able to fight to live. So hopefully that'll be a factor with these escape pods and these different ships. When we go into this area now, we're going into the cockpit. And this is a 4-man cockpit, as you can see. Not really sure what these locations here will be doing. Whether they will be in relation to piloting the ship, such as engineering, possibly shield management, or whether or not they are actually doing the distribution of fuel. Whether or not when it's time to fuel another ship, it can be done remotely from these locations. Could be. Don't know. Again, this is basically a 7-man, 6-man ship. You know, maybe these 2 people get up when the ship's not flying and they go back in the back and they do the fueling while you have these 3 people in the front. You have 3 seats here. You have a seat for a co-pilot, a pilot, and also a commander. Be interesting for that. If you're a commander, you know, how many people will this be the owner of the ship basically and other people are piloting it? It's going to be a big trust factor because I know if it's my ship, I think I want to fly it. But then again, if I have somebody who I'm really cool with, somebody in my organization, hey, I would let them fly the ship, you know, especially if I have LTI on it. If I've got lifetime insurance, no problem. Anybody could fly it. Again, the design on this is very similar to the Freelancer. The layout is very similar. The type of controls here, the panels that are here, the system panels. One of the things that is interesting about this is the view. Now, in the Freelancer, a lot of people complained because of the narrow view. Also, there are a few areas where there are welded bars that kind of somewhat block the view. But in the Starfarer, this is all open all the way around. And again, some of the complaints that I've heard is that, oh, you can't see. Well, that's because in most cases, the people who are saying that are people who are used to flying fighters. They're used to being where they have a good 140, 180 degree view out their window. The Starfarer is not a fighter. And let's face it, you have to have vulnerabilities in every ship. Every ship can't have the best of everything, or you just buy one ship, and that would be it. So on the Starfarer, you have a narrow field of view, right? But you've got some pretty powerful weapons on here and guns. I'm sure to a certain degree the ship is going to be armored pretty well because it can't be that fragile carrying something as volatile as fuel. So I'm sure it's kind of a tank. It can take a bit of damage. But again, you're not going to have a 120, 140 degree field of view in this ship. And let's face it, it seems that most of the MISC ships will have this type of design. So if you're a MISC pilot, you'll get used to this. You'll know what the game is when you purchase it, okay? Alright, so we're going to hop on out of this seat. Beautiful view out the windows there. So cool. Also, they've got this double-plated glass, which is interesting. Again, I told you this is made like a tank. They want to make sure that whatever punishment this thing is taking, that it can withstand something. Okay. There are controls up above here. Alrighty. And again, the command chair. Once again, if you just dropped by, appreciate you stopping through. We're doing a tour of the Starfarer, hopefully a little bit more detailed since it's been out for a little while now, and trying to watch some things and look for things that we haven't seen before. And we're going to continue on, again, through the escape pod area. back out to our second deck that's above the cargo area. We came in through this way, so we're going to continue this way. And this is going to lead us to the opposite side, which we saw. Again, great vantage point for if someone's trying to take your ship or someone's trying to come through cargo or just monitoring what's going on. This is a cool spot to be in. Alright. Let's see here. We are now going to go, well, you know what? Let's do this. Let's go around to this side. Hopefully I'm not moving too fast for you guys, just so you can see where this led to. This was the opposite side of where we were earlier. Come on. Now, this leads out to the catwalk that we talked about earlier. We saw this when we were outside, and we talked about the fueling area. Once again, these tanks here are the refinery tanks, and then the tanks in the rear are the tanks that will actually hold fuel. Notice they're darker tone, and there are panels at each of these locations here, control panels. Whether they monitor this individual tank or whether they monitor all the tanks down, I'm not really sure yet. But this is the catwalk. Again, control panel. Control panel. Amazing the detail. Look at the amount of piping. Pretty amazing stuff, right? Now, from my understanding also, this catwalk will have gravity. So in space, you will be able to walk out here. You will need an EVA suit, but you won't have to worry about floating away while out here working. Okay. And we can see there that there is a window, which we will see a little bit later. Same thing on this side. You can actually see from one side to the other. Again, a lot of detail here, a lot of work put into this ship. It's amazing. There was a lot of, I guess before this patch came out, a lot of people were not complaining, but saying, hey, what's going on with the ships? We haven't seen this. We keep hearing about the Starfarer. And I think that most people now, after seeing this ship, have said, hey, it was well worth the wait. No one expected the level of detail that we have found in this ship. And again, for the game to run as smoothly as it has. There are still some bugs and glitches here and there, but overall, I think most people are pretty pleased, and especially the people who bought in on this ship very early in the process. There's been some concern about the pricing. The fact that the pricing is now for this ship, I think it's varied from anywhere from $175 to $180 to $195 in the past when it was in concept. But now that it is out, the price is now $300. Now for me, I have mixed feelings about that. But my main feeling about it is that first of all, those people who backed earlier under the concept stage, I think they benefit from that. I think that the fact that some of those people have waited literally 3 years, 4 years to see the ship, that they got a deal. You know, ultimately, this is a great deal for them, and they finally got to see their vision of what they were dreaming about. And I think it's great for them to be able to say, hey, I paid $175 and I got this great ship. Also, I think that it keeps us from flooding the market, because we have a tendency to forget that the monies that we're giving to CIG are about development, not necessarily about buying ships. Buying a ship is the premium. It's the icing on the cake that comes out of the deal. But ultimately, we're supporting the game. And so I think that if every time a great ship came out, folks would just flood the game and purchase these ships because of the way they look. Let's face it, we don't know what the performance is of this ship in particular, let alone any other ship. And we maybe go gaga over it because it looks great, but then once we start flying it and using it, we may say, heck, this thing's a turtle. I can't stand flying this. Every time I fly it, I get blown up. And then we're frustrated because we spent $300 on a ship that we don't find any satisfaction in. Or, you know, we decide that, hey, I'd rather be a fighter pilot and fly fast ships, and I paid $300 for this thing, and I could have got, you know, 3 fighters for this. I could have got 3 Gladiuses. So as far as I'm concerned, you know, we get in early, we get the best price. If you really, 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 really want something, then understand that you're going to be paying top dollar sometimes for it. I would love an Idris. Ain't happening. I couldn't even buy it at the concept price, let alone what it's going to probably come out as later. So Let the buyer beware, guys. Remember that whatever monies you're spending, make sure you're doing it to support the development of the game. And if you get a great ship on the side, hey, even better. But don't stress out about, the ships. Every ship in this game, CIG has told us, every ship in this game, you will be able to purchase in-game with in-game credits. You don't have to spend any more cash beyond the $45 it takes to play the game. Okay, enough of my preaching, guys. Okay, so we're getting ready to go back through the area we were at before, but I do want to show you something. This is one of the areas where I've seen people dozens of times make a mistake. There are two elevators here, one on this side and one on the opposite side. And everyone seems to, when they get here, they look straight forward and they proceed to push this button and activate the elevator. And they try and they can't get it to work. Well, that's because there's actually a button right here for the elevator to call for it. And so if you want the elevator to come down, you can hit that button. Boom, there it is. Once you're inside the elevator, you use this button and then you go up. So I know it's easy to miss because we're moving very quickly in the game and it just kind of blurs past you, but this is the actual lift button for using the elevator when you're on this floor. And there's one again on the opposite side right there. Okay, enough elevator instruction. Let's get back to our tour. So we've seen the catwalk and we were on our way up to the next level, if I'm not mistaken. So let's head that way. Again, if you're hanging out with me this afternoon, appreciate you stopping by. Doing a tour of the MISC Freelancer, one of the newest ships that was released this week in Star Citizen. Okay, so now we are on the third level, believe it or not, third level. And again, we're in an area where there are panels for various things. Don't know exactly what they will be, and I'm not going to try and take a guess unless they are labeled and say what they are. For example, access panel, and there's some more panels, and there's another panel. Okay, let's since we just came upstairs, now I always have to keep my direction here when we came up the stairs because this is very easy to get confused here. Okay, so we came up that way, we're going to go this way, we're going to turn left. Okay, this is another lift access area, and you can see there's a ladder along the side here, and then there's a lift here that will take you up to the 4th floor. We're not going to go that way though. I'm going to go to the opposite side, and when we get in here, you're going to see that there is, it says caution, there are access areas. And I've heard people use the term Jeffries tube. It drives me crazy, but I know why they call it that. This is actually a maintenance access area. Of course, Jeffries was from Matt Jeffries in Star Trek, who used to do the special effects and art design in Star Trek. So I'm not going to call it the Jeffries tubes because that really is associated to Star Trek. But this is a maintenance area that we would access. I'm going to go down a little bit further. And in this area here, we have escape pods again. Remember I told you there were additional escape pods in the game. Because once again, you can't necessarily run all the way down to deck 2 if you're on deck 3 or deck 4. So they do have these other areas for us to be able to utilize if we need to escape off the ship. Now I'm not going to go down this corridor just yet, but we will come back to that in a little bit. Directly across from me is the engineering area. And there are more access panels back here. And when we come in here, there's been mixed comments about what this device is. Most of us believe that it is related to gravity, that this is the gravity generator. We saw a unit that was very similar to this in some of the demos when they went on certain space stations. So usually this thing hovers, it might have a few sparks coming off of it or whatever, but basically this generates gravity within the ship. This is like a U-shaped room, so I'm going to come around to the opposite side. There's a med kit on the wall here, and if you go into this room, this seems to be the actual engines for the ship. Whether or not that's true, don't know. Maybe this generates gravity, I don't know. But I think in general we really think that this is what generates the power for the ship. Okay. There's only one entrance in here. There's a med kit, or no, there's a fire extinguisher on the wall, I'm sorry. Okay, there's nothing back here but just a little storage area, another panel. onto the side. And now here's escape pods 1 and 2. We saw 3 and 4 on the opposite side of the ship. Okay. Again, these do not open right now, but you get the general idea. Now, if we go down these corridors, these are the pylons that we saw on the outside. Again, another work maintenance area that you can go inside of with access panels. Okay. And if we continue down, these are the windows that we saw when we were on the catwalk. And as you can see across to the other side. More areas to strap in cargo, access panels that are down here as well. And then finally, when you open this door, there's the gunner's seat. And if you remember when we were outside at the rear of the ship, I talked about the fact that there were the gunning turrets that were in the back that invert 180 degrees upside down for firing. And there are 2 of these. There are actually 3 turrets on the ship. These 2 smaller ones, which are Type 2s, and then there's a large one at the top front of the ship as well. Okay, so that's what this long run is, and you can see the engine just a little bit out there. Okay, we're going to go down this way. Alright, so we're going to go through this way. Again, access area. I can get in here a little bit. And this one has a crawl space where you actually, and I'll go into third person for this so you can see it. Whoa, don't want to do that. Let's see, I'm going to actually lie prone. And you literally crawl through this area. Now, it's kind of funny that they actually have this, because technically you don't have to crawl to go through this area. I mean, it's kind of a cool thing to do, but the reality is that there's a door right here, and all you had to do was walk from here to there. So I could see crawling if that door wasn't there, but with the door here, it's like, what's the point? I also noticed that this has a metal door for some reason. I don't know if there's something special to this area as to why that's made the way it is. There's a ladder down there, which we won't go up that ladder. There's one that goes up and one that goes down, which we'll cover in a second. Okay, where we are now. Again, remember I said earlier that there are markings around the ship to help you know where you're going. So here it says living quarters, and there's an arrow that's pointing in that direction. So we're going to go that way. This says lift access. This takes us upstairs. We're not going to go that way yet. We're going to go this way. Alrighty. We just came through here. Remember, this took us in toward engineering. Okay. Let's see which way this goes. This is living quarters. This might be the other access. It is. Okay. So now we're going to go up to level 4. If I can hit the button. Alrighty. Level 4. And as you can see again how large this ship is. It is huge. I'm going to stand right here and face this way so you'll get an idea of what numbers are. If you look through those windows, you'll see that says Maintenance Access 1 on the left, and that says Maintenance Access 3 on the right. So both of these have those elevators, just like the one I just took upstairs, left and right. And then this is the front turret that I talked about earlier. This is in the front of the ship at the top. This turret goes straight up. Okay. To the right here, Maintenance Access again. This is the ladder that goes down into the one maintenance area where I showed you the 2 ladders a few minutes ago where I crawled through. And this side actually leads into the living quarters for the crew. As you can see, there are 6 beds in here. Now, some people have complained about this area, saying that on most ships, crew members have their own private areas, which is probably true. Whether they'll wall this off or whether they'll do a redesign on it, I don't know. I don't think I would want to necessarily. This kind of looks like almost like a barracks at boot camp, you know, where you've just got everybody out in the open. But I think I'd want to have something with a little more privacy as well. So anyway, we'll go a little bit further here. There's also been complaints about the restrooms. There are some control panels here, but they have both a men and women's restroom. Now, there are some who would say that in the future it would just be unisex. Matter of fact, even today it would be unisex. Whether they want to say they had the luxury of providing something for women versus men, who knows? I don't know. But is it something worth arguing about? Well, if you gain the space back, the most you do is get a bigger bathroom, I think. Maybe one side for showers, one side for using the restroom. But anyway, this is what it looks like. And you can see the toilet with the shower head above it. Toilets drop down onto the floor, evidently, because you definitely can't take a shower while sitting on the stool. At least I don't think you can. And then the face bowl area. Areas for storage, towels, things of that nature. And the women's is basically a mirror image of the men's side. Not much of any difference there. Okay. Locker area here, benches to sit. It says use. That's interesting. Is there something to do here? No. It just says use. Okay, because I was going to say I don't think we can sit down or anything here. It's the first time I've noticed that it said that. Maybe it was for the door. Okay, so we're going to leave out of this area, and we're going to make a right, and this takes us into the galley. This is basically where the crew and everyone eats. There's a large table there for everyone to sit down and dine. Little areas over there. Kitchen area, a few microwaves, cutting area, things of that nature. All the conveniences of home, right? Don't see any water or anything though. Maybe it comes out from under there. I don't know. But anyway, this is the kitchen area, the galley, as they would call it. And then interestingly enough, they decided to place the captain's cabin up here. So we're going to go in there. And when you come to the captain's cabin, he's got this large table or desk, which gives him some information. On this side, he's got a couple areas for storage. Not really sure what this is here. Can't figure out what those little logos mean. But over here, the captain is definitely a drinker. He's got a few bottles of wine that are being chilled. His desk area here with computer monitors behind him. Also, he's got a computer readout here, which I'm sure is where he can take stock of his inventory, cargo, fuel, things of that nature. And then on this side, there really isn't anything outstanding. But here is his bedroom. If I were captain, I'd want a better bed than that. The blanket is kind of like what the captain's kid would probably have on. Actually, the blanket's okay. That doesn't bother me. But I think I'd want just a slight bit of luxury for this type of ship. You know, that's a little bit too rustic for me. Also, I'm not digging the open bathroom thing. Well, I don't know. He's by himself, so I guess he doesn't care if he has a door. But again, there's the toilet with shower head, storage areas, and then the face area with towels above. There's been some conjecture about this ultimately being the fish tank, or a fish tank on the ship, because it is a large area in there. I'm not really sure though. Okay. And then again, the bed area here, which we cannot use right now, but you get the general idea. And again, the office from a different angle. Okay. Alrighty. So, we have seen just about all areas of the ship. I think we have covered it all. I'm going to double check one little thing here. That's our ladder that takes us down. That takes us into area 3. I think we've done them all. What we will do is take this ladder down, just to give you an idea of what that's like when we take the ladder. Okay, and we're back down in that little engineering area. Remember I mentioned about the 2 ladders here, and we talked about that little crawl space. And then we're going to go to this ladder. Whoops, nope, come back down. We're going to go to the ladder over here, and we're going to take this down. So that was level 3. This is taking us down to level 2. And now you know where we are. We're back down above the cargo deck, right? Pretty cool. And then finally, whoa! Didn't mean to jump off, but hey, we survived. We're going to open the door. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I said I was going to show you where the escape pods were, right? Show you how they eject out of the ship. So we can do that very quickly. Let's go back up. We're going to run. Run, 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 run. Oh, I almost went over the edge again. But that's going to be deadly that you can run over the edge like that. And believe me, once the game's activated, you'll probably have a concussion taking that fall. So what I'm going to do is get in the seat here, and then I'm going to go to an external view, and I'll be able to show you exactly where the escape pods eject from on the ship. So now we're seated, and we're going to go outside. Here we are. This gives you a little bit of a view here of the ship, and if you look right on top of the head there, you'll see 6 doors right behind the cockpit. You'll see the lines for them. 3 on this side, 3 on this side. They've got little red lights on them. That is where you would eject from the main escape pod area, which is located directly behind the cockpit. Now, I have tried to find where on the ship the other locations are, and that has been difficult to do. I'm going to zoom in here, because if I get too high I'll start hitting the ceiling lights. But because the ship is chrome, it's very difficult to see where those other panels may be where you would eject out of the ship. They've got to be here somewhere, because we know we saw 4 to 6 other locations for where, oh, there are 2 right there, right to the right of that nacelle, right on top there. There's 2 doors there, 2 doors on the opposite side. There they are. So I finally saw them. So that would be the other locations of being able to escape out of the ship. You get a size of the massiveness of this ship. Look at the size of this engine. It's pretty incredible. Go down a little bit here. The catwalk, the engine area. It's pretty fabulous stuff here, guys. Very, very cool. CIG, you guys did an incredible job with this, and if this is any sign of what the future is going to look like for ships in this game, I mean, it's almost amazing to even think about what this will be like. So, again, this has been kind of the tour of the Starfarer. If you got any questions, feel free to hit me, and if you aren't following me, I would really dig it if you decided to follow me. I'm just getting started with Twitch, and just starting to build some followers. Only been doing this for about a week and a half, but I'm really excited about the prospect of being able to do this in my free time, and have met some really cool people out here who are streaming. Close this up. At least I'm going to attempt to close it up. Let's see what it looks like when we close it up from the outside. Can we do it? There she goes. Boom. Caution, keep clear. So anyway, folks, that's the Starfarer. Hope you learned a little bit of something. Hopefully I was able to share something with you that helped you out. If you don't own one, man, if you're thinking about getting one, is it worth the $300 now? If you're going to do cargo, if you're into cargo, trade, fueling, and that's something you really want to do, to me, I would just wait till the game comes out and get it then. This is not something that you have to pay for. If you have the opportunity to do an upgrade to it, hey, I guess it's a matter of what your wallet will accommodate. For those who got in on the $175 to $195 price, God bless you. I was one of those people. Hey, great that you got in and that you can enjoy it. Can't wait to see what the Starfarer will be like once it is ready to be flown. Right now it's only hangar ready, but when this thing is flyable, I can't imagine what this is gonna look like taking off from a platform or from a space station, and of course seeing it land on a planet. So again, I really appreciate you stopping by, and we'll look forward to the next opportunity where we'll do Star Citizen 101. Try to have a good weekend, and thanks again.